My name is Ava Donovan, 30 years old, founder of a small AI startup I built line by line after most people went to sleep. Tonight, the dining room in my parents' San Diego home gleams like a showroom. Crystal glasses, polished silver, and a hush that cuts deeper than noise. I hold a cold glass of water the way a person holds a rail in a storm. Across the table, my sister leans back with a smile that isn't a smile. "I'll buy your company for $1, she says, voice bright enough to draw blood. "It's already circling the drain." My father laughs like a judge calling court to order. My mother doesn't laugh. She just studies me, the way a buyer studies a cracked vase. "You're playing in a league you'll never reach," she says. Her words land slow, heavy, and practiced. The room feels smaller by inches. Candles spit, knives glint. 1,000 Sunday lessons on family pride line up against me like a firing squad. I taste the clean, empty chill of the water. My sister's nails click the rim of her wine glass. It sounds like a timer. I think of the ghosted emails from clients, the calls that ended before the second ring, the servers I kept alive with more will than cash. I think of the dark hours when code is a prayer and a plan is a door you build yourself. I set my glass down with a deliberate clink that seems to cross the table and tap each plate. Forks pause, eyes rise, no speech, no plea, no explaining my margins or my roadmap to people who never wanted to learn the map. "Good night," I say, one syllable for each footstep as I push the chair in, as I pass the soft hum of a painting light, as I reach the hall where the air moves different and the scent of furniture polish fades into ocean salt. Behind me, a small storm starts up, whispers, a scoff, my sister's satisfied breath. Let them have it. There are some rooms you only win by leaving. Before I go, tell me this. Where are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments and let me know, because when I open this next door, I'll show you what it takes to turn $1 into a debt they can't pay back. Chicago air hits colder after a goodbye like that. I unlock my office and step into the low hum of machines doing what they can with what I give them. The overhead light flickers once, like a tired eye. My monitor wakes to a spreadsheet that looks like a cliff. Numbers drop off in sharp edges, server costs, vendor fees, a runway measured in weeks, not months. The city outside keeps moving. Inside, I count every line like I'm stitching a wound. The phone rings. I answer on the second beat. "Hey, we're going to step away from the contract," my biggest client says. The voice is clean, clipped, as if someone standing just off the call is choosing the words. He thanks me twice. He doesn't use my name on the goodbye. The line dies with that soft, empty click you don't forget. I don't curse. I don't pace. I stare at the call time, short enough to feel deliberate. The taste of that dining room returns for a moment. Silver, lemon, judgment. I breathe it out and turn to the drawer on the far right. Paper clips, a dead USB, a receipt for coffee I couldn't afford when I bought it. Underneath, the black notebook I haven't touched since the year I walked out of the family building with a box and a spine. It opens to me like it's been waiting. Tabs in my handwriting. Architecture, proof of concept, risk. Then one more. Contingency. I read the first page twice, then again slower. Shield the code. Partition assets. Escrow licenses. Spin a shell when pressure mounts. Keep the keys where nobody thinks to look. I lean back. The hum in the room changes. Same machines, different meaning. I run a fingertip down the margin where I wrote a sentence on a late night 2 years ago. Not today. I close the notebook and lay my palms flat on the desk. The radiator kicks once. Wind moves the blinds like a breath. I think about the calls that cut off early, the quiet way doors shut in certain towers, the precision with which my sister times a smile. Maybe it's market drift, maybe it's not. Either way, the lesson is the same. You don't wait for a storm to ask permission. I turn on the task lamp, pull a legal pad, and start a list. What lives where? What gets moved? Who needs to know and who doesn't? I sharpen the pencil to a fine, bright point. Then I write 3 words at the top, heavier than the rest. Build the fortress. Night settles into the office like a second ceiling. I pull the blinds to keep the city from reading over my shoulder and open the mail server tools I swore I'd only use in emergencies. This qualifies. I start with the recent days, outbound logs tied to my domain. I sort by subject lines I don't recognize, then by times that don't match my work. A pattern shows itself the way a stain does when you hold fabric to the light. There it is. An email from me to a client who cooled on me last month. Polite. Perfect grammar. Given our financial uncertainty, you may want to consider Donovan for continuity. I don't use that word, continuity, when I write. I don't apologize in the first paragraph of anything. I pull the full headers. The message sailed under my domain, but the trail beneath the paint is wrong. Handshakes that don't match my server, a route that bends through an IP block leased to a network in my family's building. I take a screenshot, then another that shows the net name, the date stamp, the hop sequence. I save each image to an encrypted vault with a name I can't forget if I try. I go back 2 weeks, same style, different client. Due to cash constraints, not my line. Back another month. We recommend a migration path, not my voice. The emails are careful, composed to sound helpful while seeding doubt. They read like they were written in a quiet conference room by someone who's watched me long enough to imitate how I sign off, but not long enough to know what I would never say. I collect them all, headers, IPs, return paths that look clean until you tilt them and see the crease. I take short breaks to keep my hands steady. Water, a slow walk to the end of the hall, a glance at the map of the city taped behind the door, then back in the chair. I set a script to flag any message from me sent outside known working hours. The queue fills, a steady trickle over months. Ghost work. My name used like a tool. Dawn starts at the edges of the window. I export a timeline. Messages, addresses, the moments a client went quiet after one landed. I draft a brief note to myself in the notebook's contingency tab. Not drift. Direction. I zip the evidence twice and push a copy off-site, then another to a drive that lives in a place nobody checks. When the sun hits the far building and walks down its windows, I close the last log and sit back. They wanted the world to doubt me. Now I know how they tried, and I know exactly where to start turning it. Morning comes with a plan. I call a number I kept for a day I hoped would never come and sit across from a lawyer who has seen enough family companies to know where the seams split. I slide the black notebook across the table, open to contingency. She reads, nods once, and starts drawing boxes. We spin up a new LLC, she says. Fresh EIN, clean bank, new operating agreement. Your code, models, and data pipelines get assigned over. Licenses are repapered. Contracts novated where possible, where not. We mirror services under a lawful subcontract. We escrow the core and lock the keys. We work line by line. Assignment of IP, transfer of repositories. Vendor notices that say exactly what they must and nothing they don't. A staging schedule so servers don't hiccup. A service address that isn't the office anyone expects. She writes the words "no public announcements" and underlines them twice. Back at my desk, I build the move like a bridge at night. Repos snapshot, commit history preserved, keys rotated, secrets vaulted. The production environment shifts under a maintenance window my clients already expect. No downtime, no drama, just a clean handoff inside the law. I update invoices to the new entity and swap the footer on our docs. I keep the team out of it for now, not out of distrust, but because I need one voice on this, and it has to be mine. In the quiet between filings, an email lands from a venture capitalist who heard a thread about my product at a meetup. Coffee today? We meet at a place where cups are heavy and the table doesn't wobble. She listens without hurrying me, then asks three hard questions: scalability, gross margin, moat. I answer with what I've built, what it costs, and why the workflow lock-in isn't hype. She sits back, does the math in her head, and nods. I'll do a small bridge, she says. Convertible, 90 days of runway. Hit your milestones, we talk again. The term sheet is plain English with teeth where it needs them. I sign. The world steadies a few degrees. That afternoon, I trim the client list the way a good gardener trims a tree. Clean cuts, no apologies. Two firms I've courted for months sign short contracts that start right away. Smaller logos, faster decisions, fewer meetings. We flip on their integrations and watch the first jobs complete without a hitch. By evening, the legal packet is filed, the bank account breathes, and the fortress stands on paper in practice. I lock the office, step into the hallway, and feel the difference in the air. Same building, new ground. They arrive without an appointment. My sister first, then my parents, a three-piece weather front rolling through the glass door with the confidence of people who believe the building belongs to them. My office is small, and they fill it on purpose. My sister sets her bag on the edge of my desk like a planted flag. Here's the offer, she says, voice bright. Sell the company to us now. We fold you in, clean up the mess, and you stop bleeding, or we make this very, very painful. My father doesn't sit. He stands behind her shoulder, hands clasped as if we're in his boardroom again. This is your last chance to do the right thing, he says. My mother studies the certificates on my wall with a patient kind of disappointment and adds, "Stop embarrassing yourself. Come home." I let the first silence pass, then the second. The city runs its usual current outside the window. Inside, the air holds steady. I've already done the right thing, I say. I restructured. New LLC, clean chain of title, all assets, code, models, licenses, contracts, have moved. You can buy the shell if you like, but you'll be purchasing a file cabinet and some old bills. My sister's smile tenses at the edges. You think that protects you? It protects what's mine, I answer, and it documents what's yours. Before their next line, I press the speaker button. You're on, I tell the phone. Counsel here, my lawyer says, voice even. Everything Ms. Donovan did is lawful. Assignments and novations are executed. Escrows are in place. Any attempt to seize or misrepresent assets will be met with a temporary restraining order. Also, for the record, we maintain evidence of forged emails routed through your network. If litigation starts, that evidence enters the file on day one. My father's jaw shifts once, a habit learned in negotiations he usually wins. My mother's gaze drops from the wall to my desk, to the black notebook closed beside my keyboard. My sister leans in, losing height to gain force. You're sabotaging family, she says. I'm protecting my work, I say. The sabotage is yours. A beat, another. Then the bag lifts from my desk, chairs scrape. They leave the way they came, only quieter, with a promise tossed at the door like a coin. You'll regret this. The door settles. I exhale without drama. From the hall, my assistant steps in, tablet in hand, eyes bright for the first time in weeks. Just got the signature, she says. Vertex is in. Good, I say. Onboard them now. The room breathes. The fortress holds. Outside, the afternoon light sharpens, as if the city has decided what time it is. San Francisco runs on bright rooms and sharper questions. Backstage, I steady my notes, breathe once, and step into a wash of light that makes everything look cleaner than the hours that built it. The screen behind me holds the first slide. Our product, our promise, our results. Nothing performative, just numbers that stand without a handrail. Good afternoon, I say. My name is Ava Donovan. I build software that cuts wasted motion for small and mid-sized teams. I keep it plain. The demo runs tight. Task ingestion, rules engine, scheduling, reconciliation, audit trail. I show a workflow dropping from 90 minutes to 13. I show a client tracker flattening weekend creep. I let silence do what applause would do if this were theater. Innovation thrives on integrity. I let the line sit. Then I change the slide. Headers fill the wall, timestamps, message IDs, originating IP blocks. Each line is legible enough for the first 3 rows to read without squinting. This is the part no founder wants to present, I say, voice level. Over the last months, emails left my domain that I didn't write. They steered my clients to a competitor and cited financial instability I did not disclose. I click once. The route diagram animates, hop by hop. These aren't guesses. This is metadata. I don't name my sister's company. I don't need to. I stack 2 client statements beside the traces. The dates match. The silence after each message matches. I keep the cadence steady, like a metronome. We audited our servers. We rotated keys, rebuilt, and preserved evidence. We moved our assets to a clean entity. We kept shipping. A man in the front section stands before the next slide completes. Gray hair, steady posture, a name the room recognizes. I've seen this pattern, he says, taking the floor without asking for it. Different year, same tactics, pressure calls, helpful warnings, a path drawn to a larger firm. It doesn't make your product better, it just muddies the water. He hands the mic back as if it always belonged to me. My sister rises near the aisle. The angle of her chin could cut glass. This is slander, she says loud enough to hit the back wall. She's losing and she's inventing villains. The evidence is public, I answer. Verify the metadata, verify the roots, verify the timing. The room shifts, not a gasp, just the slow turn of thought. Keys start moving on laps. A journalist leans forward, thumb hovering. In the 3rd row, an investor I know by reputation watches without blinking, her notebook closed, which is its own kind of note. I close on the demo's last screen. Jobs completed, errors 0, audit green, and thank the room. The lights dim a fraction. The floor feels steady. I hand the mic to the stagehand and step into the wings, where the air is cooler and the next questions wait. Backstage, the light drops a few degrees. A stagehand hands me a bottle of water. I don't open it. The investor from the 3rd row steps through the curtain with the kind of calm you learn from balance sheets that don't lie. I'm Laura Bennett, she says. I'm out of your family's company. Their ethics are a liability. Let's talk about yours. We walk 10 feet to a quiet corner where the carpet swallows sound. She asks for numbers I already keep in my head. Active seats, churn, average job time, gross margin after cloud costs, cash on hand. I give her the line items, not the poetry. She thumbs a message to her associate without looking down. I'll schedule diligence, she says. Meanwhile, make room on your cap table. Her driver appears like this has happened before. She's gone in a soft sweep of glass and black paint. I stand there long enough to feel the adrenaline roll back. Then I step into the hall where conversations hum at a different pitch. Fewer smiles, more measuring. By the time I reach my phone, the first pings land. A reporter I know by byline asks for the slide deck with headers. Another wants comment on allegations of email manipulation. I send a single sentence. The evidence speaks for itself. In the next hour, a trade blog posts a short piece with screenshots. A larger outlet follows with a careful headline. I don't amplify. I don't need to. On the ride to the hotel, a push alert breaks across the screen. A major retailer has paused negotiations with Donovan pending clarity around vendor practices. I watch the quote expand into a thread. Analysts note risk. Commenters do what commenters do. The market reads it all at once. By evening, I see it reflected in a chart that's supposed to move like a tide and instead steps down like stairs. I answer no calls from familiar area codes. I return two from potential customers who saw the demo and want a trial next week. We set them up with sandbox keys and a short checklist. No fireworks, no promises beyond what the code already does. When the job's complete and the logs come back clean, they ask for invoices before I can offer terms. I sit by the window and watch the city fold into its own light. Somewhere across the bay, another window hosts a late meeting that wasn't on the calendar this morning. Paper slides, signatures wait, and people decide what they can live with when the headline changes. Justice isn't loud. It's a ledger that finally balances when the noise burns off. I power down, lay the phone face down on the table, and sleep without a speech in my head for the first time in months. Morning headlines find me before coffee. The ticker under the business news crawls with a sentence that reads like a verdict. A global retailer terminates discussions with Donovan pending review. The article stacks quotes from analysts about risk and governance, then moves on as if this sort of fall is routine. It isn't. You know when a pillar gives way. You feel the air shift. My inbox waits with two kinds of mail. The first is thin and sharp. My parents write that I've betrayed the family and embarrassed our name. They ask me to sell and end the damage. I archive it. There is nothing in that language I haven't already survived. The second kind is quiet and practical. Two trial customers from last night want production keys. We provision, run a checksum, and send the welcome packet our team wrote back when we were running on fumes. The job's clear, billing details arrive, and something unclenches in my chest that I didn't know was clenched. Rachel steps in with a stack of good news and a careful smile. "We hit the onboarding target," she says, and Laura's team wants one more data pull before they send a term sheet. We sit, walk through milestones, set owners. I watch her take the notes like she's anchoring a tent in steady ground. When the call with Laura's associates ends, my phone lights again. David, a fund I've admired for years, wants to co-lead if the diligence holds. I don't pace. I open the notebook, add 2 lines under contingency, deliver clean, deliver calm. By late afternoon, the city leans into dusk. Across the bay, I imagine a conference room where a different table is learning how hard it is to negotiate with the past. I block the family thread, email, text, the group chat that once decided where to spend holidays. Not out of anger, out of respect for the work. Some bridges don't burn, they're lifted. We move desks to make room for 2 hires. I write offers that promise only what we can keep. I stand at the window while the last of the sun pulls its hand off the glass and remember the sound a glass makes when it touches a table on purpose. You can't unhear a decision. If you've ever drawn a hard line to protect what you built, say so. Tell me where you stood, what it cost, and what it returned. Your story might be the permission someone needs tonight to choose peace over permission. As for me, I'm booked, forever.